150 years ago, halfway around the globe, Presbyterian missionaries established 10 schools in Pakistan to provide quality education for the poorest of the poor. Currently, PEB has 25 schools and 4 boarding houses with nearly 6,000 total students. The boarding houses are only for poor Christian girls and boys. These students also have the opportunity to grow in their faith while living in the boarding house, as they participate in daily devotions and other faith-building activities. Many of the children enrolled in the PEB schools come from challenging circumstances, but they value the opportunity to learn. This is where PEB shines. Its mission is to provide education to individuals of all religious backgrounds, regardless of their ability to pay. Over the years, the generosity of donors has had a great impact in transforming thousands of lives, as donors recognize how much their investment in education can impact the life of a child and ultimately that child's family.
I am a student of third year MBBS in King Edward Medical University, London. The credit of my success goes to this school and all those people who supported me. Thank you.
I'm serving as a staff nurse in Ittifaq Hospital, Lahore. It was not possible without donor support given to me. Thank you so much.
PEB provides a well-rounded education to its students, supplemented by co-curricular activities, including science, debate, sports, and music competitions. In most schools, teaching instruction is provided in English. This prepares students for future employment in science, technological, and nursing fields. Results on state-mandated examinations are also improving every year.
My father works in a workshop. He was paying my full school fee, but due to COVID-19, he has lost his job.
My father is a stamp vendor and he was paying my school fee, but due to COVID-19, he has lost his job and is unable to pay now. I am very worried about my studies and praying for some help. Thank you.
Dear friends, COVID-19 has placed significant burden on the parents in Pakistan. It is so hard for them to bring food on the table, leave alone provide education to the children in Pakistan. Your support in filling that gap will really transform many lives. Thank you, dear friends, for joining hands in this difficult time. May God bless you all. May God bless America. And may God bless Pakistan. I always say, Pakistan, Zindabad.
Hello, my name is Zena Greenwald and I'm a third year at Oregon State University. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm a member of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians. Let it be acknowledged that Oregon State University in Corvallis, Oregon is located within the traditional homelands of the Marys River or Impinafu Band of Kalapuya. Following the Willamette Valley Treaty of 1855, Kalapuya people were forcibly removed to reservations in western Oregon. Today, living descendants of these people are part of the Confederate Tribes of Grand Ronde Community of Oregon, as well as the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians.
Welcome to First Presbyterian Church of Corvallis online worship service for October 18th, 2020. So glad that you have joined us for this service. We stream every Sunday at 10 a.m. on our webpage, on our Facebook page, and now also on YouTube as well. So if you have any trouble with our stream today, there are many reasons that this could be. Try switching to one of the other sources that are listed, and those are listed on our worship streaming page at firstpres.org, 1stpres.org. We try to use services that give you an uninterrupted stream, but there are many reasons why you might get that buffering in your video. There are so many reasons. It could be everyone in your neighborhood is online at the same time trying to stream church or hopefully some kind of faith community service or maybe other things. And that can really slow down everyone's internet if too many people are on your node. And so one thing that you can do if you're getting a lot of buffering and it's stalling a lot is Vimeo is supposed to do this automatically, but you may need to go into the gear at the bottom of the Vimeo player there and change the resolution. It might say auto, but you may need to change it to a lower number. And that will reduce the quality a little bit, but it will at least keep it from buffering, and you'll have a better stream and you'll be able to listen and participate in worship without those annoying pauses. Know also that after the service is done, the video processes, and then we index it and we try to get it posted as soon as possible on Sunday, usually by early Sunday afternoon, to have an indexed recording of the service that you can just go over the timeline, little blue dots where you can select where you want to go in the service. Know that only Vimeo does this, so if you go to the recording that Facebook gives or YouTube gives, you won't have the index. You will be able to find the past services and play them on those sites, but if you want an indexed service, you will need to go to our web page. And when we finish indexing it, we always post it as a blog post, a news post. And so if you scroll down on our front page of our web page, you'll see a worship link with the date of the worship to go right to it where you can watch that. And I hope that helps you know. Many of you I know cannot join us on 10 o'clock on Sunday and join us other times, and it's exciting to see that people are finding times to worship, whether it's on Sunday or midweek or other times. The nice thing about the index service is you can select exactly where you want to go in the service. So if you had to leave early or if you had trouble with the service and you missed one part, you don't have to listen to the whole service or really even search for it. Just hover over the dots and a label pops up for what that section of worship is, and you click on it and you will be able to find it. Well, it is October, my favorite month of the year, not just because it's my birthday. I really enjoy fall. Now, there's a lot of things that aren't happening right now that we're used to, like the excitement and energy that football brings to our town. Even if you don't like football, some of that excitement and energy is missed. But we certainly are enjoying, hopefully, the fall colors and the crisp mornings and just the seasons, the feeling of the season. We want to invite families to come by on October 31st for picking up curriculum for our Halloween drive-through between 11 and 12:30. Right here on 8th Street. Some of us might be dressed up and have another fun drive-through. Even if you don't have kids, if you just want to drive through and wave, maybe you'll get into it. Decorate your car, or at least wear a costume or something as we drive through. And again, I'll try. We had a little trouble last time, but we'll try to perfect having a camera out there and streaming that for people to watch as well. The next day is November 1st, and that is All Saints' Day. It falls on a Sunday this year, and every first Sunday of November, we do a Remembering the Saints service, and it's a communion service, so have your elements ready in 2 weeks. But we do want your pictures of loved ones who you want to remember during that service. We will read names of everyone who is a member or friends and family of members that have passed in the last year, but we'll also have a montage, a video montage of the pictures that you send us of people you would like to remember. Just send the picture with a name, and if you'd like their date of death or birth and death dates, please send those as well. And we will include those in our service. It is a time of grief, yes, but also, I hope, a little bit like the Day of the Dead, where we celebrate the lives and the legacies that they've left us, and also the promise of God that death is merely a transition into that great mystery and that ultimate reality that awaits us as our faith promises. I hope that you have been able to connect with your community, but let us now connect and remember that that connection is rooted in the connection God has with us as we worship together.
Listen to how everything sings. The streams and stones, leaves and branches, fish and fur-covered ones, birds leading the chorus. See how your desire to praise is echoed in every living thing. How in quiet moments the heart is moved to gratitude for all of creation, for the lavish abundance of it all. How nothing is earned, no achievements are needed. May you simply show up with breath, blood, and bones, and your loving attention to hymns erupting everywhere, until you can no longer tell where yours begin and nature's ends.
Let us pray. O extravagant God, in this ripening, red-tinged autumn, awaken in us a sense of joy in just being alive. Joy for nothing in general, except everything in particular. Joy in sun and rain, mating with earth to birth a harvest. Joy in soft light, through shyly disrobing trees. Joy in the acolyte moon, setting halos around processing clouds. Joy in the beating of 1,000 wings, mysteriously knowing which way is warm. Joy in wagging tails and kids' smiles, and in this spunky old world. Joy in the taste of bread and wine, the smell of dawn, a song, an unexplained presence. Joy in having what I cannot live without. Laughter and tears. Joy in love in you. And that all at first and last is grace upon grace upon grace. You have led us over the ages long. May we be bold in our accord, celebrating the journey and praising you, and learning to see you in the midst of everything. We inhale, we exhale. Everything. And all God's people say, Amen. Amen.
I believe in the sun. I believe in the sun, even when it's not shining. I believe in love. I believe in love, even when I don't feel it. I believe in love.
The scripture today is from the Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 22, verses 15 through 22. Listen for the living word. Then the Pharisees went and plotted to entrap him in what he said. So they sent their disciples to him, along with Herodian, saying, Teacher, we know that you are sincere and teach the way of God in accordance with truth, and show deference to no one, for you do not regard people with partiality. Tell us then what you think. Is it lawful to pay taxes to the emperor or not? But Jesus, aware of their malice, said, Why are you putting me to the test, you hypocrites? Show me the coin used for the tax. And they brought him a denarius. Then he said to them, Whose head is this, and whose title? They answered, The emperor's. Then he said to them, Give therefore to the emperor the things that are the emperor's, and to God the things that are God's. When they heard this, they were amazed, and they left him and went away. The living word. Well, there is a video, one of the first viral videos that came out almost 10 years ago, called David After Dentist. And it's a kid in the backseat of a car. His dad is filming him. He's been to the dentist. He had to have surgery and he has stitches. And so he's recovering from anesthesia, maybe nitrous oxide. So he's a little out of it. And he's asking questions and he just pipes up and says, Is this real life? And, well, rather than me just explain it, let me just show you the short bit of the clip.
Yeah, I know. How did it go?
I didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
I feel fine.
Kind of felt good, didn't it?
Is this real life?
Yeah, this is real life.
Now you can watch David After Dentist, the full clip on YouTube, where it's been since 2009, and it has had 139,705,314 views since then. Is this real life? I've been asking myself that, and I'm up in my office, which is really just converted attic space at home because I had problems with the recording from church and I had to redo my sermon here from my office. And I've been asking, is this real life? Is this real life? And maybe you've been asking that in these past 7 months. Is this really going on? Or maybe you turned on the news or read a tweet or just saw what people have said or done on social media, and you said, is this real life? Well, maybe it isn't. I don't know if you caught Science Friday. I actually caught the article in Scientific American before they mentioned it, but they have mentioned from this article from Scientific American on NPR Science Friday this week that there's scientists who think we have a good chance that we may all be living in a simulation. In fact, one scientist said 50-50 chance that we're living in a simulation. That is an artificial reality rather than a base reality. 50%, yeah, reality, we're in a base reality, and that's all there is. And 50% chance that we're in an artificial reality. Now, not all scientists put that at those odds, but many do say that it is possible that we're all just living in some kind of simulation, and limits like the speed of light and gravity and time are just limits in the programming of our simulation, and that there's really some higher reality that, for whatever mysterious reasons, is running us as a program. And you might think, oh, that's preposterous. That's crazy talk. But think about someone who's never heard of our religious talk about life after death, about perishable bodies and imperishable bodies that we'll have, that Paul talks about, and that this isn't our ultimate reality that we're living in, that there's a bigger reality beyond this one that we'll go to at some point, and that will be free of the limits of our existence in this finite reality and some eternal reality. Well, that can sound just as preposterous. And actually, as I think about it, they're actually talking about virtually the same thing, just using different words and constructs to describe it. We've been talking this fall about Jesus talking about this ultimate reality, the dream of God for humanity, the kingdom, the realm of God, and uh, and that what we see now is limited. It's a construct. It's a preview where we exist to learn and prepare for that ultimate reality of God. This passage in Matthew is often thought of as just a money passage, just about taxes or money and our relationship with money. Um, and what they're doing is they're trying to get Jesus in trouble. They're trying to ensnare him. That's no secret. That's right there in the beginning of the passage, because nobody liked paying taxes, especially did not like paying taxes to a foreign and occupying government, and taxes to a government that was going to do things that were pretty much against Jewish law. So if they could get Jesus to speak ill of paying taxes because there was good reason to say it was unlawful, but that would get him in trouble with the Romans, and maybe the Romans would then step in and take care of this Jesus who was threatening their own authority and becoming too popular and scaring those in charge of the religious life of their country. But instead of getting caught up in this web, he goes deeper. And he doesn't answer them directly. He has them look at money. Really look at money. For them, it was a piece of metal with the emperor's face stamped on it. And why is it worth anything? It's a construct. We can take out paper money. It's just paper with ink on it. Is it really intrinsically worth anything? Or is it just a construct? And nowadays, we don't even see that anymore. We see numbers on our phone app, tells us what we have, and maybe some numbers get moved from one place to another every month. It's all there because we all are taking part in it, because we are deciding that we're going to play along and we're going to pretend that there's worth in these things, in these papers, in these metals. Even gold, well, yeah, it's a rare metal, and so people want it, and so we give it value because we want it. But is it worth anything? In heaven, they say it's pavement. It's horrible pavement, a soft metal, but hey, pavement's not worth much. It's a construct. It's something we have built up so that we can interact with each other the best way that we can figure out how to interact with each other. And we construct economies and ways of doing that. And Jesus exposes the fact that we're living in a world of things that we built that are only there because we give them power and we give them money. And he says, let the emperor have it. Let the emperor have what the emperor constructed. It isn't really the reality. And this actually puts the Pharisees in a precarious position, because if they push it, and Jesus correctly says, give to God what is God's. If they push that, they would have to admit that everything was God's, and they could get in trouble if they push it too much and say that actually what we're giving the emperor, actually ultimately everything belongs to God. And so nothing is truly Caesar's, nothing is truly theirs. And that would be troublesome for them. The emperor, the Romans wouldn't like that. And then there's the temple tax system, which they depended on taxes and their cut of taxes to pay for their own temple priests and the economy of the temple. So they just get out of there before they find themselves trapped in their own trap. Now, I don't think Jesus was saying we need to live outside of all of our human constructs. How could we even do that? It's impossible. There are people who try to live outside the concept of money. They live in barter economies and and try as much as they can to live apart from some of the constructs, the structures that we put in, systems that we put in place. But it's difficult. So we live with what we have. It's not perfect, but we all participate, and we agree to participate and to pretend. But I don't think Jesus is saying to get rid of them, but he is saying don't get so caught up in them. Don't get so overpowered by them. Don't think that the constructs are the ultimate reality. They're just tools, imperfect tools that everyone is agreed to take part in, but don't get caught into them. Don't get so caught up with money that you're always concerned about what's yours and what's the government's, or what should be yours, or how you didn't get what your fair share was, or what's not enough, or how you need more, how you compare yourselves with others and say, I need as much as they have. It can ruin us, and it does ruin us. Money ruins so many people, it ruins so many relationships. It can ruin our faith, it can corrupt us, turn us bitter. And if you get too caught up, give too much power to these constructs, they have power over you. So Jesus is saying, look, let's not all get caught up in things that really ultimately aren't even real. Give to God what is God's, he says. And what is God's? What does God desire? Does God desire our wealth, our money? Does God desire our labor, our work? Ultimately, what the message of the gospel is that God desires you. God desires your heart. God desires that you see beyond the constructs of this existence and see the bigger story. See how you are connected to something beyond the limited visions and constructs of our world. And this is difficult. As Paul says, it's like looking through a dim glass. Dimmed maybe because of our constructs. Let me put it another way. Yeah, I hope you've had an experience in the great outdoors where you've gone to a place where there's no or little light pollution, and where you've been able to see some wide open skies and maybe a moonless night. Perhaps the desert is a great place for this, and you've been able to really gaze up into the incredible expanse of the universe and see millions, or not billions, of galaxies and stars and planets. The lights in the sky are like no other. Light that is billions of years old now reaching us, and we see them and gazing up on them. When we have light pollution, we see so little of what's really out there. We have our lights, and we need our lights, but our lights keep us from seeing a whole bigger reality out there. One time I was lying on a rock in the Sierra Nevadas, and it was just a moonless night, and I was taking it all in, and it dawned on me, it wasn't just all out there or up there, that I was floating on my own ball, on my own planet in space, and was actually in the middle of it all. I could be on the other side of the earth, and I could see a whole different part of the universe. And that we were all part, and we were part in the midst of this amazing reality. Something that this light-filled day-to-day world often prevents us from seeing and knowing. So it is with our own constructs of worth, of money, of identity, of race, of gender, of status. All these constructs that we build up, they can make the reality of God, the reality of our oneness in God, our common consciousness, the one mind of Christ mind, seem so very dim. They can flood out that reality. Now, I'm not implying that these constructs of identity and who we are not important. It's just that we can resign ourselves sometimes to think that's all we are. That what we've created and what we've built up is all we are. And I want to be clear about this, because some people preach about this kind of topic and say that these constructs are not real, and things like sexuality or orientation or gender identity aren't real or don't matter because it's not the ultimate reality. And I don't think that at all, and I'm not saying that. It's important to be authentic people, to be honest about who we are, and to be able to feel safe about being honest about who we are. And that's real. It is real. But it can become a construct when it becomes, in our mind, all of who we are. And while some might say there's only one way to be, I'm actually saying the opposite. You do not have to contort yourself into someone else's construct of what the right way to be human is. You are met by God in who you are, exactly who you are, as you are, whether you're gay or straight or cis or non-binary or trans or whatever color your skin is. All of that is important and celebrated because it is a part of who God is and God's diversity. You belong to God, and all of that belongs to God, and we are all connected together in God, who we are, for who we are. So all of us in our diversity are connected as one, and so the diversity is a part of the image of God, is a part of the ultimate reality of God. But we can let these things be limits, and to limit us into not seeing the fullness of God or the fullness of humanity. And so it's all the more important to be able to have people be honest and authentic about who they are, because it expands our awareness of the reality of God, the image of God being reflected in the diversity of humanity. But when these things become limits, when we begin to think that all we are is our sexuality, or all we are is our color, or all we are is our wealth, whatever it may be, whatever construct, we begin to limit, we begin to let that light drown out and be pollution that does not let us see the greater reality of God and our connectedness to everything. And so we have to be careful with the construct of our identity and who we are, that it does not become an enclosure preventing us from seeing and being who God truly created us to be and who we are. Even religion can be a construct, is a construct. The minute we begin putting words around the ineffable, the mystery, we begin building a construct that limits God, and then we're using words that others aren't using, and so we begin to disagree and argue, and the rest is history. We have to move within our limited constructs. We need them in this limited, finite world, whether we're in a simulation or not. But we can do so knowing that they are constructs. They're creations, and they're limited, and they're not the end of the story. They're boundaries we put up, but they're also boundaries that can be moved and changed if need be. What matters here is not rising above our constructs or denying